Hello everyone, welcome to the lecture for the course Applied Thermodynamics. Today we are going to start rotary compressor, which is the second category of air compressors. In that we will see classification. Myself Sumit Bardia, Assistant Professor, Department of Mechanical Engineering, Sharad Institute of Technology, College of Engineering at Rao. In this lecture we will see some points regarding the rotary compressors, classification, Roots blower, vent type blower, centrifugal compressors, and velocity diagrams of centrifugal compressor. So rotary compressors classification. Actually, rotary compressors are the machines which develop pressure and have a rotor as their primary element when compared with the piston sliding mechanism of the reciprocating compressor. Whenever large quantities of air or gas are required at relatively low pressure, rotary compressors are employed. There are main two categories of the rotary compressor, that is positive type compressors and non-positive type compressors. Displacement is nothing but positive compressors, in that Roots blower, sliding vane compressors, Schulm compressor, screw compressor. So these four compressors are coming under displacement or positive type compressor. Second category, that is steady flow or non-positive type compressors. In that centrifugal, it is also called as radial compressor and axial flow compressor. So these two categories coming under non-positive compressors. We'll go through the displacement compressors. In that first one, Roots blower. Actually, displacement compressors are those compressors in which air is compressed by being trapped in the reduced space formed by two sets of engaging surfaces. Here the figure is shown of two lobe type compressor, but there are 3 or 4 lobe versions are in use for higher pressure ratios. One of the rotors is connected to the drive and the second rotor is gear driven from the first. In this way, the rotors rotate in phase and the profile of the lobes is of cycloidal or involute form, giving correct making of the lobes to seal the delivery side from the inlet side. This sealing continues until delivery commences. There must be some clearance between the holes. There must be some clearance between the lobes and between the casing and the lobes. To reduce wear, this clearance forms a leakage path which has an increasingly adverse effect on efficiency as the pressure ratio increases. As each side of each lobe faces its side of the casing, a volume of gas V and pressure P1. Further rotation of the rotor opens this volume to the receiver and the gas flows back from the receiver since this gas is at a higher pressure. So the gas induced is compressed irreversibly by that from the receiver to the pressure P2, higher pressure, and then delivery begins. This process is carried out 4 times per revolution of the driving shaft. So that is about the Roots blower, and it works with the lobes, 2 lobes, 3 lobes, 4 lobes. If you require higher pressure ratios, you need to go for 2 or more lobes. Now next category is vane type blower. Here, vane type blower consists of rotor mounted eccentrically in the body and is supported by ball and roller bearings in the end covers of the body. The rotor is slotted to take the blades, which are of a non-metallic material, usually fiber or carbon. As each blade moves past the inlet passage, compression begins due to decreasing volume between the rotor and casing. Delivery begins with the arrival of each blade at a delivery passage. This type of compression differs from that of the Roots blower in that some or all of the compression is obtained before the trapped volume is open to delivery. Further compression can be obtained by the backflow of air from the receiver, which occurs in an irreversible manner. So that is the working of vane type blower. Eccentrically it rotates with the help of ball and roller bearings. So this side is inlet side and this side is discharge. So compression is taking place from here suction and here compression. Next type is very important type, that is centrifugal compressor, that is coming under steady flow compressors. So we will see the centrifugal compressor wherever the high pressure is required, we need to go for centrifugal compressor. Now here this figure shows centrifugal compressor with double-sided impeller. It consists of various parts such as curved radial vanes. Here it is, curved radial vanes. A series of curved radial vanes are attached to and rotated with the shaft. Second, impeller. Impeller is a disc fitted with radial vanes. The impeller is generally forged or die-casted of low silicon aluminum alloy. The impeller may be a single-eyed or double-sided, having eye on either side of the compressor so that air is drawn on both sides. The advantage of double-sided impeller is that the impeller is subjected to approximately equal forces in an axial direction. So here it is shown the impeller single-eyed and radial vanes of centrifugal compressor. It is double-eyed centrifugal compressor. So that is the example. Now how it works? Now air enters the eye of the impeller here at the mean radius Rm with a low velocity Cm and atmospheric pressure P1. We are designated the values of these parameters, that is Rm, C1, P1, for the further calculation for proper understanding. Depending upon the centrifugal action of the impeller, the air moves radially upwards, like here, radially upwards, and during its movement is guided by the impeller vanes. Here these are the impeller vanes. The impeller transfers the energy of the drive to the air, causing a rise both in static pressure and temperature, and increase in velocity also. Let the increased pressure and velocity be P2 and C2. The work input equals the rise in total temperature. Now the air enters the diverging passage called diffuser. Now this is the diffuser passage where it is efficiently slowed down. The kinetic energy is converted into pressure energy with the result that there is a further rise in static pressure. Let the increased pressure and reduced velocity will be P3 and C3. The changes of the pressure and velocity of air passing through the impeller and diffuser, it is here shown. In practice, nearly half the total pressure is achieved in impeller and remaining half in the diffuser. The pressure ratio of 4.5:1 can be achieved with single stage centrifugal compressor. For higher ratios, multi-stage compressors are used. In multi-stage compressors, the outlet of the first stage is passed to the second stage and so on. A pressure ratio of 12:1 is possible with multi-stage centrifugal compressor. So that is the working of the centrifugal compressor. Then we'll move towards the velocity diagram. Before velocity diagram, we need to assume some parameters, that is here CBL1. Here CBL1 is mean blade velocity at entrance. So we know that it is air enters at the eye of the impeller. So here from here itself. So CBL1 means mean blade velocity at entrance. Similarly, CBL2 is mean blade velocity at exit. C1 is absolute velocity at inlet to the rotor. C2 is absolute velocity at outlet to the rotor. CR1, here this is CR1 and CR2 are relative velocity at entry of rotor and exit of rotor. CW1 should be here, CW1 here. CW1 that is whirl component, velocity of whirl at inlet, and CW2 is velocity of whirl at outlet. CF1 is velocity of flow at inlet, CF2 is velocity of flow at outlet. Alpha 1 here, alpha 1 is shown here. Alpha 1 is exit angle from the guide vane or inlet angle of the guide vane. Beta 1 here, inlet angle to the rotor or impeller. Beta 2 here, this is outlet angle from the rotor or impeller. Alpha 2 is the inlet angle to the diffuser. Now here the figure shows the velocity diagram for the inlet and outlet of the impeller. It is assumed that the entry of air is axial. Entry of air is axial. Therefore, the whirl component at the inlet CW1 is 0. And therefore, C1 equal to CF1. The enlarged views of inlet and outlet velocity diagram is shown in here. To avoid shock at entry and exit, the blade must be parallel to the relative velocity of air at inlet or outlet, and therefore beta 1 and beta 2 are the impeller blade angles at the inlet and outlet. The diffuser blade angle must be parallel to the absolute velocity of air from the impeller, that is C2. Therefore alpha 2 is the diffuser blade angle at the inlet and alpha 3 is the diffuser blade angle at the outlet. If the discharge from the diffuser is circumferential, then its blade angle at outlet should be as small as possible. So generally alpha 3 we are not considering, it is negligible. Okay, so that's it. We will continue the work done derivation for the centrifugal compressor in the next lecture. Thank you.